I'll admit that time and time again, I have been wrong on Duel Links new set analysis videos. However, I feel like I'm getting better because if you think back to when I sort of predicted that mermails would be broken, obviously I was very wrong, but I learned a valuable lesson from that and I applied it to the synchro summoning prediction that I did where I said synchro monsters are terrible, and I was right. Synchro monsters aren't played at all in any of the meta or even rogue strategies, which means that I'm learning as I go along. And what I've learned about Duel Links in particular, and we're going to look at this new set today, I've learned that in general in Duel Links you have to be able to play a deck, you have to be able to play cards that are good going first and second, which is something that I didn't realize when I analyzed the Mermail cards, something that I didn't really realize when I analyzed the Heradic cards either. In Duel Links, because half the time you're going to end up going first and you have no control over it, you have to play a deck that can make plays when you go first. Even like Blue Eyes, which I don't feel is that strong of deck right now, it's a pretty good rogue deck, but even Blue Eyes struggles when they go first if they do not have a way to make Azure Eyes White Dragon. So what we're going to be looking at today is this new Blackstorm Rising pack, and one of the focuses of this pack is the Blackwing cards, so I do want to just go over to actual Duel Links here real quick and just show you guys what the Blackwing cards that are currently in this game are, and I think you'll be maybe surprised to know that all of them are pretty much trash. And I don't mean that just like like I'm not just saying that as a hyperbole. Like I actually think these cards are just all awful. They're just so bad. Like these first five are so trash. Like I don't even know how. Like these are just so bad. They're all so bad. It's so funny. The only one that's like even slightly playable is Blackwing Ghibli the Searing Wind, which I never thought I'd say in my entire life because this card isn't that good. And if you only play Duel Links, you don't play the TCG, you don't know. But in the TCG, Blackwings are kind of a joke because Blackwings, like 10% of the cards, like the original set of Blackwings, are so powerful, or at least they were relative to like 2009. Like they were the best deck for an entire year pretty much, and they still were a pretty good rogue deck even after that. But like the other 90% of Blackwing cards that come out, especially the ones that have been coming out more recently in packs, they're just trashed, like just like these cards. And a lot of these cards are from the more recent releases, or at least not the first set of releases. But this one's like okay, and this one's like kind of it's maybe like a one of. The main thing that it's comboed with isn't even in this game, which is Sirocco, but it might be played as like a one of. But that's kind of what we're working with here. For all intents and purposes, we can basically assume that all these cards are just unplayable, except maybe for this one, and even then probably not, just because Duel Links decks are so much smaller than like regular Yu-Gi-Oh decks. I will say that the best one isn't even a card that you can put in your deck, and that's Blizzard. Blizzard is only accessible via the Crow Hogan skill. The problem with that isn't that like Blizzard is a bad card. It's just that in general, with like the Yusei skill, like the Akiza skill, so I don't know any of the anime character names, but in general, with these synchro skills that came out when synchro summoning first came out, it's not that they're like necessarily terrible, and it's not that the cards that they're putting in your deck are terrible. It's just that when you have a skill that adds a good card like Blizzard to your deck, now it's not that is Blizzard a good card, like obviously Blizzard's a good card, but it's competing with all the other skills in the game, and there are a lot of good skills, so you kind of have to weigh your options there. That's what we're working with, all bad Blackwing cards pretty much, and then we got to keep in mind that it's a skill that lets you have one good Blackwing card in your deck, well, 2 copies of it. So as far as these cards go, what are we looking at? Well, this is basically a winged beast set. You can see many of the ultra rares, many of the super rares are winged beast cards. The 2 big archetypes that are coming out of this set are Blackwing cards, and they are giving us some good Blackwing cards, maybe not good enough to carry the whole archetype, which we'll talk about in a second, and then Dragunity cards. And I'll make a prediction here. Dragunity going to be a good deck. Like the Dragunity cards in the set are almost all of them except for the Dragon Ravine and Legionnaire, but other than those 2 cards, almost all of them are in here. You got Ducks, you got Phalanx, you got the 2 important synchro monsters, you have the Lance equip spell, which is really good, you got whatever this guy's called, Mistletoe. You got all sorts of good Dragunity cards. I think Dragunity is going to be great. Maybe not like the best deck, but definitely a good deck. Then you got Blackwing cards, and they're really bad. And that might surprise you, because if you're looking at only the Ultras and the SRs, you might be saying, okay, we got Shura, that's a good card. You got Whirlwind, that's a really good card. You got Boro, that's a really good card. The problem is they don't have win condition. The problem is they don't have any good tuner monsters. The problem is they don't have Blackwing Armor Master. The only synchro monster they have is Blackwing Armed Wing, which while it was played in Blackwing decks, it was not like the main focus. Like Armor Master was the main focus, and that's not in this. As far as these other cards go, I'm not super impressed. Sakuratsu Armor is interesting. It's not, I don't know, in Duel Links, Wall Disruption is just so powerful, but one thing that Wall Disruption struggles against is single targets, and I feel like Sakuratsu Armor really excels in that spot. I think that this card immediately power creeps Widespread Ruin, and I think that's worth mentioning. Other than that, though, I mean, like Breaker, really good old school Yu-Gi-Oh card. Duel Links is a lot faster than old school Yu-Gi-Oh. The only area that this card would ever be played, at least in my mind, is Spellbooks. I would have played this instead of Magical something, maybe even instead of Cosmic Cyclone, although probably not because Cosmic Cyclone triggers Switcheroo. But this card would have been played for sure in replacement of Magical something if Amazonists were still really popular and I was still playing Spellbooks. So that's where this card might get played. This other stuff, not super impressive. Cards like Soul Release are cool tech options, but there's no side decking in Duel Links, so that doesn't even matter. Bujin Crane is kind of interesting because we have a lot of other good Bujin cards. Like almost all the Bujin cards are in the game. Obviously not any of the Exceed monsters, but as far as the main deck stuff goes, you got Yamato, you got Turtle. I think you don't have Hair, but you have both of the, you have like the Asuda and stuff, or whatever those cards are. The level 4 monsters that special summon themselves from your hand, you got those ones. Moving on to these rares. So like I said, we got Dragunity Divine Lance, really good card. Basically just means if you open Ducks in this, you can synchro summon a level 8 monster on the first turn, which is one of the reasons I think Dragunities are going to be so powerful. As far as the actual Dragunity synchro monsters go, probably not. Well, I mean, besides like these two, which are insanely powerful. I don't know if you'll actually play those, but it's worth mentioning. I mean, they're giving us 5 Dragunity synchros in this set, which is pretty crazy. But as far as that goes, I mean, Dragunities, they're going to be good. But let's talk about, well, okay, first off, Hippolymus, really good card. I think this is going to change Gladiator Beasts for the better. This is like the thing that Gladiator Beasts are missing right now. Obviously, Geyseros is really powerful, but this card I think is a really good addition to Gladiator Beasts, even if it's just a one-of. But these Blackwing cards. So the problem with the Blackwing cards is that they have a couple cards in here. They have 2. They have Gladius and they have whatever this Harmadden, the Dust. Both of these are like, so when you think of things that you want to search off a Black Whirlwind, you want to search things that can special summon themselves, and both of these cards can be special summoned. They're not terrible cards, they're just not tuner monsters, which means that they're not good enough. And then this guy, which is also not a tuner monster, is like the opposite, so you can special summon this one from your hand if you control no monsters. Probably trash because you can't summon it off of the Whirlwind because you can't, you'll have a monster at that point. And then this one's like completely garbage. This one's, like I said, isn't that great. This one's completely garbage. This is the only good Blackwing, and it is, well, the only good Blackwing tuner monster that is, and that's fine. Like, I'm looking at this card and it's like, it's not that it's terrible. This card is fine, except it can only be used for Blackwing Synchro monsters and they don't have Armor Master, which means if you normal summon Bora or Shura here and then with the Whirlwind up and search this card, yes, you can special summon it, you then can't make any synchro monsters. And I know that there's level modulation cards in, or level modulation skills in Duel Links. However, if you level modulate it to level 4, you can't make this card because it requires 2 non-tuner monsters. So you'll only have this guy level 4 and you'll have the Shura or the Bora level 4, so you can't make that card. You could make an Armed Wing, I guess, but that just seems like this card doesn't do anything on turn 1. Like, one of the reasons that the X-Saber deck isn't that good is because Hunlei doesn't do anything on the first turn, and it just seems like such a missed opportunity. Like, Armor Master is probably too good for Duel Links, and like Gale is probably good. Well, Gale is definitely too good for Duel Links, but it's just, this card seems so out of place in the context of that you can't make Armor Master. You can only make this really bad Synchro Monster, or you can make this like okay-ish Synchro Monster. You can't even make Blackwing Dragon because it's not a Blackwing monster. It's just, this card's not bad, it's just bad in the context of the other Duel Links cards, which is why I don't think Blackwings will be very good. Oh, I forgot this one. This one's bad as well, so it doesn't really matter. But overall, these Blackwing cards are just so lackluster. And yeah, they gave us some more, like this card's not very good, and this card's not very good, and like, it's just, it's disappointing. I don't know what they're doing with these Blackwing cards. Maybe they'll be played, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is good enough to normal summon Shura with Whirlwind, search Bora, special Bora, and then attack for a lot of damage. Maybe that is good enough. Like, probably not, but maybe I'm underestimating the value of Black Whirlwind. But if Black Whirlwind is very powerful in Duel Links, it means that you're basically playing a deck where you have to open an unsearchable 3 of, which it's happened before, but in the case of like, I remember when I was talking about Blue Eyes, I didn't feel that they were good enough without the Arcana Force skill and I still kind of feel that way. There's not a skill that can add Black Whirlwind to your hand, which means that the games that you don't open this card, you're basically just playing a normal monster deck, like, because none of these cards do anything. So it's frustrating, I think. And Shura, I should mention, is a lot worse without a main phase 2, which obviously Duel Links does not have. So this card is just, this is the card that is only made good by the fact that it has a main phase 2. So without a main phase 2, you're basically just relying on this very inconsistent OTK where you activate Whirlwind, summon Shura, special Bora, attack over something with Shura, special a guy from your deck, and then hopefully attack for game with the Bora and the 1500 attack monster. That's rarely going to go off. It loses to Sakuratsu Armor, it loses to Treasure Trap Hole, loses to Canadian, it loses to Floodgate Trap Hole, it loses to Wall Disruption even. It's just, I don't think it's going to be very good. And I should mention that Dragunities also lose not to Wall Disruption, Sakuratsu Armor, but they do lose to Floodgate Trap Hole and Paleozoic Canadia pretty hard. They don't really have any special summon plays. If you just normal summon Dragunity Ducks and then equip Lance and they just Paleozoic Canadia it, you pretty much have to pass your turn because you have no other plays, because this card requires there to be a face-up card to the graveyard, which doesn't really work with these other cards. Overall, though, this set, even if it's not that great, is better than any of the other synchro sets that we've had so far, even if it's not because of the synchro monsters themselves. I should say, just briefly as I'm ending this video, Harpies might be good, not so much because of Hunting Ground, not so much because of Queen, but because of Hysteric Party. This card's pretty crazy. Just summoning a bunch of monsters is always really good in Duel Links. I think Harpies are like the big sleeper pick of this set. But overall, let me know what you guys think about this set. Like I said, I wasn't going to analyze. It's not that I like necessarily enjoy or think that they're valuable of me reviewing these new sets, because like I said, I've been wrong a couple times before, but every single live stream that we've done since the set has been released, I get like a comment every 5 minutes saying, what do you think of these new cards? So I thought I'd just put it all in one video. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this set. I don't think it's that great, but I do think it's better than the other synchro sets we've gotten so far. However, that's not a huge competition because the first set was completely unplayable. Second set had like one good card in it. So this set, even if it has just Sakuratsu Armor, it's going to be better than those other two sets. But I think that this is going, at the very least, going in the right direction of what synchro sets should look like. I still think, I mean, we've been saying it for months now, they should add the alien synchro cards. Just add alien Amite and add the alien synchro monster. That would make that deck so much better. And it's just that's the type of thing. They just add those two cards, make them ultra rares. What do I care? But that'd be cool to have in the game. I think it'd be a really interesting way to sort of bolster an older strategy that a lot of free-to-play players really like. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.